Well, I suppose that this is where I go to Twitch and make sure that the stream is actually live. Although I think it is actually live. Oh, Tarek Taryn has joined us in the chat. Welcome. You get to type in the almighty first. But today, because somebody gave me the idea last week, we're just going to hang out. We're just going to paint a bit more of the party pawn, which you can see I've made this much progress on it. Just sort of mucking around with some contrast paint. I wanted to see how far I could get in one painting session, just sketching out the colors. We'll see how much farther I get this time. I didn't do Sam's usual sensible 5 minutes of, hey, get in the stream, guys, countdown, because, frankly, I don't know how to do that. So, that means more content for you. Exactly. Maro0233, mysterious stranger. Alright, let's see here. Now this is a instant color from Scale 75. They make some of the fancy paints. And their instant color line is sort of their answer to contrast paints. And I've been buying a few and trying them out, and nothing's really knocking my socks off, to be honest. This is their human flesh color. Funny how Caucasian that is. And according to Scuttlebutt on the internet, that's one of their best. So I wanted to give that a shot and see if it was any good. Last time I did this painting, I had, instead of this nice little table here, I had a cardboard furniture box that I snuck out of our cardboard recycling bin. As you can see, though, I've moved up in the world. Let's get this on kind of heavy. And I'm just gonna... What does this feel like? This feels like Fiona and Deirdre's skin tones. Just slop it right on like a terrible heathen. Gotta make sure I can see it, gotta make sure the camera can see it. Gotta make sure that the whole world can see me get some of this skin paint on Fiona's hair. Good times. If you ever do something like this, do not panic. Just rinse off your brush and go in there, grab it. Okay, that one wasn't my fault, but Fiona's mug was in the way. That's very funny to me. I think that's a good start. For my fellow brush lickers out there, the Scale 75 instant colors, they're not good. Oh! So Maro0233 is actually Jeff, and right now he's playtesting some Tails. That's cool. Oh, you know what? I didn't do the smart thing. Here is a friend of mine that I've purchased. Ooh. How's that? Probably a little... There we go. It's a lot of light. Yeah, I think I'm just going to leave that there for now. Get on with Deirdre's face. I think Miniac did a video on YouTube making fun of the sommelier professional wine taster tastes 5 different wines. Can he taste the cheap wine? And he did that, but with miniatures paint. Which I didn't watch because, frankly, shut up and teach me how to get good. But that was funny. And if he had worked it into a different video instead of by itself, I would have been like, I need to watch that video again because that segment was really funny. Oh gosh, you can see. Let me try to. There we go. Tamping down the light here. You can see Deirdre's collarbone in this sculpt. Gosh, that's fun. We got a lot of very, very cool artwork done for this. And you know what? I think this light is really killing it for y'all's images. And I certainly like it. I like painting directly under the brightest neutral tone light that I can, but for you, I will turn off that light. Oh, thank you. Fireforge Minis has joined us. Looking good so far, yeah. Just going in here with some of Scale 75's Instant Colors. Their human flesh, which of course I'm now applying to an elf. Yeah. I mean, let's be real. I wouldn't want to make Deirdre mad. I would find that extremely ominous. You know, when you make the cheerful, happy people angry, it's like the thunder rolls. Okay, a little less thumb cam, a little more paint cam. Here we go. Gotta say, I am liking this color for paler skin. I'm a big fan of contrast Guilliman Flash for a lot of versatile, make the skin happen. It's definitely a lot ruddier than Deirdre. Don't let me forget her ears, chat. Gotta make sure that I get those. Alright, let's see if I can get this particular application on camera. Boom. Nailed it. Thank you, chat. Thank you, chat. Nah. If it was all caps and it was like, make your paintbrush bigger, click this link to find out how, you know, then you'd get banned. I love how the ladies have a drink in front of them and I keep just positioning the drink in front of whatever I'm trying to paint. This is the second time that that's happened and it amuses me each time. I'm sure eventually it'll get old. Ooh, high-level D&D one-shot. That's pretty cool. Thank you, Sam. It's not the size of the brush, it's how you use it. That is, sometimes that's definitely true. And Fireforge Minis, they want to run an event with Pubcrawl once they get their token back from the painter. They've sent it off to be professionally painted. Or perhaps hobbyist painted, but that seems cool either way. Yeah, I got inspired. Somebody just emailed us out of the blue, as our customers sometimes do, to be like, hey, check it out. I painted my party pawn. And quite frankly, few things make me happier than somebody just emailing us out of the blue being like, hey, check out this fun thing that I did with your stuff. And I'm like, I love it. Now Fiona, gonna sort of Fiona's hands here. I can't remember if she's typically wearing gloves at the tavern or if she's doing something else. She's barehanded. But now is definitely the time. Oh man. Alright, well, Fireforged, if you're getting this pro painted, just email me out of the blue and to show me a picture of the finished paint job when you get it back. Because that would make my day. And I think I'm gonna... Okay. Ferb2002 has a good question. New to the Slugfest community, who am I and how have I helped with the making of the Red Dragon Inn? Fiona has gloves? Okay, thanks, EFAD. I will not put skin color on it. I am the director of customer service for Slugfest Games. However, I do have some game design credits. I helped create Molly for the Red Dragon Inn 7. I've helped with multiple characters from RDI 8 and concepting for Evil Pookie, but most of my work time, we're so small that we wear many, many hats. I ship things ordered through our web store. I answer customer emails. EFAD. Yep, going to the source. I plan and run our convention appearances. So if you meet us at a show, I'm probably there looking very overworked because it's a convention. They're just very overstimulating and busy. And that was my fault. I made the booth. I did the things. And it's quite rewarding, actually, to get to see customers up close and shake their hands and hand them our products. Very cool. Hello, Redbeard. Welcome! Today, we're painting us some party pawn. I've already done some work ahead of this stream, just sort of sketching out some of the biggest spots of color. But yeah, I do all sorts of good stuff. I'm sure that I've forgotten at least like 4 or 5 things that I do, but yeah, I'm a gen of all trades tossed here into the company. Just doing all kinds of fun stuff and helping customers with their orders, or if somebody's missing something from inside of your game that you've just purchased, then you email support@slugfestgames.com, and I'm usually the person being like, yeah, absolutely. Where do I send the thing that was not in your box? So, oh, thank you, Fireforged. That's cool. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. Don't forget the ears or the shoes. Fiona's ears are in. Deirdre's ears have gotten some paint, but you're right, the shoes don't have a lot of paint on here. Even Zot's shoes aren't painted. Which means it's time. Let's paint them. Let's give them maybe a Cygor brown, or Wildwood's a bit too dark. Where's that? I swear I finally organized my contrast paints and now I can't find them. Oh, thank you, Redbeard. Love it. I'm just trying to make things work as best they can. Boom. Drop there. I have a fancy schmancy wet palette, but wet palettes are sometimes a bit fussy with contrast paints. They're not appropriate for inks. And some people say that you shouldn't use them with metallics. I've never really had a bad experience of using a metallic on a wet palette and then later on getting metal flakes in my regular paint. But if you get a wet palette, keep that in mind. Again. Oh man, this is super dark. I'm not really getting a lot of contrast out of this. Sometimes that's just how it happens. Trying to get that dark color between those lighter little rag tears. Trying to get this shoe color down to the cobbles without painting the cobbles, which is always a fun trick. What flavor of icebreakers is that? Well spotted. Spearmint, the good one. Well, that's not true. Wintergreen is also really good. And I have some sour fruit flavors that I'm still working through before those also become an oversized paint handle. What is your favorite kind of mint? Chat? Let's have it. Let's learn. Let's break the ice. Icebreakers duo gang, where you at? Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Icebreakers duo, like the strawberry that's sweet and sour at the same time with like a mint, isn't it? I don't know. I don't like peppermint though. And a lot of mints, or mint teas especially, they're peppermint. And I'm like, oh, why? The false mint. Altoids does a strawberry mint. I did not know that. Strawberry snow cone. That's fun. I know the Icebreakers folks have been making a lot of different flavors. Ooh, green tea, yeah. Jeff's in here pointing out that he just can't taste mint without thinking about toothpaste. I sympathize. That makes sense. Chocolate mint tea. Oh yeah, I've had that before. It's quite good. It's a lot more mellow than you might have thought. Very relaxing flavor. Where did I get the idea for Evil Pookie? I mean, I didn't come up with the idea for Evil Pookie. I came up with the idea for the doppelgangers mechanic, which I think at first was actually kind of a Evil Pookie having some item that was really iconic. You know, like Evil Pookie would get his hands on, like Dimley's great-grandfather's helmet and Amandir's hat and stuff like that. And then you could play those on Evil Pookie or on an opponent. But after some discussion, it was like, well, I don't know. It's much more interesting if it's people, right? And so that's where the doppelgangers came from. And I believe that Jeff was the person who came up with the, okay, no, our 50th character really ought to be Evil Pookie. And maybe that was a brainstorm session where it's like, come on, number 50 has to be like, we gotta go really big. We've really got to impress people with how hard we're going for this character. Yeah, how did we say here's what the 50th character is? I don't remember. Been a minute. Well. Alright, I think it's time to hit Gerkie's face, like we usually do. But this time with paint, not with a fist. We're going to get him with some Guilliman flesh. But yeah, I'm not sure what train of thought we boarded to arrive at Evil Pookie itself. But Evil Pookie just... Once we had a few things down about him, I think they came together, not fast, but well. It was fun. Why so many iterations of Dimley's great-grandfather's helmet? I think once Dimley had done it, and then Pookie had done it, and after that, it was definitely a running gag. Who is the best character? You are, man. You. Yeah, it was one of our earliest callbacks, so we kept it going. Also, like, from a pure strategic standpoint, I guess, when it comes to joke strategy, if you will, like, most of our customers who have any Red Dragon in is very, very likely that they have RDI 1, right? And they've probably at least seen Pookie in RDI 1. Yeah, we do it for the memes. And so if we make a joke or a reference, it's got to land. So we try to focus on the earlier characters as much as possible. I said I was going to do Gerkie, now here I am doing Zot. What is wrong with me? Anyway. So that's something that makes Dimley's great-grandfather's helmet just more valuable as a running gag, I suppose. Especially the longer it goes on, because now there's a backlog of the joke running in time for years. Ooh, got a little bit of skin color on Sound's beard here. Let's see if I can't lift that off. More or less. Paint in front of the camera, Jen. Do that. Oh man, I'm hearing the paper bags of takeout food. Side Gerkie, they're the same person, really. I mean, they've been on a team for so long. They probably start finishing each other's sentences and stuff. The wench gets their drink orders mixed up. They're like, it's fine. Trying to get Zot's neck painted up here. Might as well finish what I started. And the good news with these transparent paints is, as long as they're lighter than what's around them, a little bit of overlap isn't going to kill you. You can see that there's, well, maybe you can see that there's some of the skin color kind of pooling up around the color. It's not going to be visible. Let's see, did I get it? I think I did. Now it's time for Gerkie's face. And hello, Domestics. Welcome to the stream. Oh, man. Got them. Got your 12-year-old and their friends some Warhammer minis. That's fun. Warhammer's really been kicking butt lately. I've been telling people that I just never cared about Warhammer. And then I ignored them for 15 years. And suddenly here they are, like, doing awesome models that I love and want to paint. Crap. Why? How? But, Ferb, you say that there's a character concept you don't feel is getting any love. We have orcs, werewolves, and a lich. Why no cats? Oh, I've been lying. Summoned. I don't know why not. I mean, probably we've just not had a concept that screamed out for cats. And I mean, are we talking about like maybe a Bond villain character with a white cat on their lap, or like a cat person? I can't remember the D&D species that's supposed to be cat people. It's probably like Katarn or something. Gerkie looks a little bit ruddier than I would like. But then again, his hair is also kind of not solid. Cat like a house cat. Ah, Tabaxi, thank you. Cat knocks the drinks over. I mean, of course. Of course. Maybe Pokey's a cat, yeah. Crazy cat lady who hucks cats at everyone for fortitude loss. I mean, yeah, that seems bad. I feel like maybe there's some kind of randomized event that you have to, like, once the crazy cat lady's hucked the cat at you, you gotta see if you've dislodged the cat or if it's still attached to your body, clawing you to little pieces. I love and own cats, so I know what they're like. We'll call her Jen. Yeah, it's, honestly, I would never make a cat stand in for me in a fight. I would fight for my cats. I wouldn't make my cats fight for me. Unless it was fighting like mice or boredom or something they're extremely well equipped to do. Oh man. Yeah, this Goblin Flesh on Gerkie looks kind of dark. We'll see how it dries, though. Oftentimes a contrast paint is going to look very different wet or moist as dry. Oh, and then this arm has all of those wraps on it, so those should probably not be skin colored. Probably going to have some warmth on it remaining from that little mistake, and that's fine. That creates variation. And variation creates interest. And interest means that people stare at the mini that you've painted going, ooh! So there's some progress. Where's the sweet spot for focal length? I set it to fixed, so... Oh yeah, Gerkie's gonna definitely need to be blended up. I can definitely see why people like the Scale 75 Instant Color Human Flesh. Because Deirdre and Fiona look what we'll call tabletop ready. In the meantime, I'm going to let this dry for a second, and I prepared a couple of things before I started the stream. Let's see, one of the most recent things that I finished painting, I actually have a photograph for you of these Sigmar dudes from Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Ooh, to push past the cat concept. You have two people you swap between, each with separated health. Your cards have different effects based on who you currently are, and the cards switch while one is active. That's interesting. We've certainly pushed things around with, say, the Lich King having a shorter fortitude than everybody else, and therefore a narrower playmat. What do we call that? Spread. The narrower spread. Yeah, these guys look awesome. Except in a few places where I was just like, it was time to pull the ripcord. I wanted to be done. And then the thing that I finished painting just before that was these fellas and lady. Just fun. Had a lot of fun with these guys and choosing the color schemes and making the bold blue hair work. Also, I'm still not super great painting black, but I think I've gotten better. Anyways, these guys were fun. But right now, I'm painting these guys. And I think it's time to maybe tool around with some metal. Maybe get Fiona's armor looking a treat. So let's see here. And Fiona's pants too, I think. Before the stream, I was careful to give Ultramarines Blue a nice big shake. The guy at the Warhammer store here gave my four-year-old a Stormcast dude. Absolutely. I think that they have a Stormcast model specifically for, here, have a Stormcast. Would you like a Warham's man? Here he is. He is yours now. And it's just, I think they have that for a Space Marine too. The sprue is like this big and it's got one man on it that you put together. I think they also have some magazines that include minis, which is smart. So I'm going to get Fiona's pants done. I'll create a little backdrop for things. Yeah, this feels like the right color. First hit's free, absolutely. Yep. The plastic crack dealers know what's up. What are some ideas meant for RDI that never made it to the end product that I enjoyed? I mean, if something's an idea that doesn't make it to the end product, it's either something that we use later anyways, or it's something that just kind of didn't work and wasn't fun to play. Yeah, D-Mystic saw this come and had to explain to their mom that they're giving away the one guy to sell thousands of them. Oh, yeah. Although Sam and I were talking the other day, or maybe it was somebody else. My memory's not great right now. I was talking with somebody the other day about how, 15, 20 years ago, if you wanted to get into Warhammer Fantasy, GW was going to do absolutely everything in your power to get you buying units of, dozens of figures. And you'd need to field multiple units to go in and actually have that full army experience. But now, they have multiple skirmish level board games, war games in the fantasy universe. Which is why I'm stuck buying Warhammer Underworlds now, because I can buy a pack of 3 to 8 really cool fantasy themed models. They all have sort of a cohesive look to them. And then I just paint those dudes in parallel so that they look like a unit, and then I have a really good time. And I don't have to worry about buying a $60 box of 20 minis, and I only want to paint 2 of them. They finally got my number. D-Mystics was buying 100% of the Underworld's stuff, but couldn't keep up and stopped. I can certainly see how that would happen. I got turned on over the winter holidays and went a little crazy buying stuff. So I have a lot of warbands to get painted. But it's fine, because I'll get to it sooner or later. It takes me time, but it gets there in the end. Man, ideas for the Red Dragon Inn that never made it into the product line. I feel like there is something. I'll keep noodling on it. Do I enjoy playing tabletop RPGs? I love it. In fact, my dark secret is that I work for a board games company, but I'm actually not much of a board gamer. I am much more of a role player. So I like playing a lot of Apocalypse World-based games, because I love that spread, that 2d6, try to get high mechanic, where the stuff that you're most likely to roll doesn't mean that you fail, but it does mean that your situation gets more interesting. I think that drives forward a game really nicely. 2d6 roll high is so evil. How much do I enjoy D&D? Goodness, I ran a 4th ed D&D campaign for 2-3 years. Very, very involved game. I made a lot of custom content for that game to keep my players happy and, be a good dancing monkey. And I really enjoyed it up until the moment where I was not enjoying it anymore, because the combat was just so involved and so over-supported and required so much prep that I kind of gave it up. So nowadays I try to do if I want to do something that feels like D&D, I try to go for something a lot lighter. Once I started playing Apocalypse World-based games, I went, as a GM, I never want to roll dice again. I want my players to do that. Let them do the work. I've got to think about what happens to them. My brain is full, right? And so going back to D&D or things like it, look at that. There's Deirdre's arm. And you know what that is right now? It's gray. I missed it. Oh well, that's fine. Here we go. Get that. 4E, one of the most hated and bad versions. DM's rolling dice is boring. Gotta embrace the arbitrary or storytelling arbiter role. Yeah, that's what I like the most about it. I like painting a scene for my players and making them feel involved. When you get somebody hooked, you can see it, and it's a really neat feeling. So I love doing that, and I love, asking the players these in-character questions that really bring things forward. And make them really invested in the world. Yeah, 4E was some decent tactical squad combat. There were a lot of things that I actually really enjoyed about 4E. There were a lot of things that 4E started that they never finished. Like, for instance, skill challenges. I loved the idea of skill challenges, but a lot of the rules support was basically, I don't know, just make your players roll their skills some, I guess, to challenge them. And later on, I can't remember what book it was, but it was a GM-focused book later in the life cycle of 4E. And they had a section on skill challenges and sort of expanding on what that could be with some examples. And that was really, really delicious and chewy and good. But it felt like it came so late. I went in and I actually expanded on skill challenges myself for that campaign that I ran. I took an 8-segmented initiative board stolen from Exalted? Maybe? I don't know. Anyways, I took that board and I used that to sort of structure when people would roll and what progress looked like. So every player character in the scene would have their own token or, put their miniature on it, frankly. Because why not? It's already there and it represents them. And then as they took different actions of different complexity, they would move around that board. Like an easy action to do that's kind of a nothing burger and not super beneficial would move the model one pie piece. And then a really complex one would move them 3 pie pieces, right? And then they'd have a chaser token, right, to represent their progress completing the challenge. And so you're kind of racing against that difficulty that you can see visibly, which helps your players feel a lot less unmoored. Because that's definitely something that, if you're just throwing skill challenges in front of players, they're like, what do I do? Do I just roll my highest skill until something good happens? How much progress have I made? If you don't make that clear to them, then they start to lose track of the scene. But if you can make it visible to them or palpable to them, like hit points, that's palpable. If I've lost 25% of my hit points, I should be this much more cautious than usual. that kind of thing. But yeah, I think that my players had a good time playing with my adjusted ones. And 5e looks great, honestly. Ferb's almost been let into the GM circle. Good. GMing is good. My advice for new GMs would be have fun, keep an open mind, be ready to learn, be ready to have some failures, and be ready to recover from them. In my opinion, it takes this is going to sound awful, but it takes about 10 years to really cook a good GM. Just because you've got to have lots of experience sort of reading the room and communicating with your players. I'm going to take some of this Space Wolves Gray, kind of put that next to that. However, it's really fun, it's really rewarding, and your players are going to love you for it, because even it's like, sometimes jamming's like pizza. Even bad jamming is still something that gets you playing D&D, so get in there. 25 players with up to 16 playing at a time. I don't understand Dynastics. I don't get it. How do? This makes me think of my buddies and their Warhammer 40k big game, where it's like 10 4-foot by 8-foot tables so that everybody can bring in their 3-foot tall bloody resin Titan cast models or whatever. Oh, incredible. Now we're going to mix metal paint directly in with the contrast paint, because I'm a dirty weirdo and I love seeing what that does. Gives the metallic color sort of its own temperature. And you know, Fiona's metal armor has this nice bluish tone, usually shaded into it. And when you do something like this with your paint, you can actually get a pretty good amount of contrast just in one coat. So this should be fun. And since I've got the undercoat already done with zenithal highlighting, there we go. Love it. And even though it's like $15 a bottle, the Vallejo Air Color metal colors are super duper good, and I recommend them to the fullest. Do I plan on painting the stones below them? Absolutely. Actually, once I get Fiona's armor done, I think I'm going to slap a few things on there, and you're going to be like, cheating! And I'm going to be like, cheating is good. And it'll be nice. The GM is pretty good and moves around the group a lot, D-Mystic says, in explanation of the 25-player game. He's running big events and stuff. Wow. That's astonishing. I have had to work on building up my skills at managing spotlight on player characters in groups of like 3, 4, and 5. So this person deserves a medal of some kind. That is incredible. $25-player game. Oh, my goodness. When I think of that, I think of like LARPs and stuff. Oh man. Now I'm just thinking of a cyberpunk LARP that my girlfriend helped design with a few people. I think they also like bodged together a video screen thing to sort of spit in-game, in-world facts at them that they needed to use to solve the mystery. It was a cool time. He used to stream them on Twitch, but it hurts his viewership stats. What? What about creating a game that is a tremendous monument to role-playing itself damages viewership? Ugh. No accounting for taste. Yeah, I like cheating on Painting too, as you can tell. Sometimes you really do have to just knuckle down, knuckle up, knuckle something, and just layer up paint one layer at a time, just changing it up a little bit more with each layer. But if you don't have to, then don't do it, you know? Sort of reminds me of a debate that I'm used to seeing amongst people who love to draw, which is one side of the debate says that using references is cheating and stupid, and if you use references, you're not actually a good artist. And the other side says using references is essential and a smart thing to do, and if you aren't using references, then you are just torturing yourself in order to have a worse result. Knuckle sandwich, yeah, sometimes you just gotta feed yourself a knuckle sandwich and paint layers. Slowly blending up. I'm gonna leave Fiona's bottommost bit of boot alone. I'm not sure what that should be yet. His favorite content is his worst viewership stuff, D&D and wrestling. Does this incredible GM also wrestle? If this person also wrestles, then I gotta know about that. And like, what's his wrestling persona like? It's a little metallic paint sort of sneaking its way into Zod's robe. Should probably not be allowed. I've seen little bits of wrestling stuff from Jim Sterling's YouTube channel, or James Stephanie Sterling, and opened my eyes to the fact that small wrestling reviews exist, which, that's cool. He used to wrestle. He blew out his knee years ago. Ah, boo. But had to quit. He does WWE 2K games and stuff. Man, in the early 2000s, wrestling video games were so cool. Unironically, those games were great. You got to have like an incredible dress-up doll experience, and then you got to smash your man into other men. And it seems like they haven't been good for a while, unfortunately. But maybe they have been and I just haven't noticed. Remember when I lived in an apartment with two of my buddies, one of them was named... He wasn't named Kane, but we all called him Kane. And I don't know what his name was. So he was Kane, and he loved playing that and making Purple Pants the Hulk jokes with his custom wrestling character. And it was certainly fun enough to watch. And we'll get the bottom of this. It looks exactly the same. My Discord avatar is actually my character winning a belt. Nice. Should probably just work on Fiona's breastplate next. There are quite a few pro wrestler streamers out there. So are they streaming pro wrestling itself, or are they like reacting to pro wrestling live, or kind of curious how that works out. Less hand cam. There we go. A little bit on that leather. There we go. They are pro wrestlers that play video games. Okay. It's a little disappointing, but also makes a lot of sense considering the medium. But also, I mean, if I watched pro wrestling and then my favorite wrestler, like, played a video game, I would watch that. Impact Wrestling has a classic match channel. Oh, man. A friend of mine actually used to do a video game fighting game wrestling review thing at video game conventions. Gosh, this is actually now that I get started, this is a crunchy concept to try to explain. But the folks who would actually play the video games and fight each other digitally would also have wrestling personas and like cut promos before the matches and things like that. And they had merchandise, and it was sold by the Merchador. And she was kind of the master of ceremonies for that. Very, very silly stuff. Definitely one of those inside joke things where it's like, I wish I'd been there. It's always challenging to paint for a camera on stream because it is definitely much more effective to rotate a model so that your paintbrush can get to it than it is to rotate your paintbrush so it can get to the model. But it's doing pretty good. I think I'm gonna do Deirdre's mug in this, and then I think that's the end of using this paint. Oh, nope, wait, it's not Skullcap. How did the group of Slugfest get inspired for the idea of Red Dragon Inn? Well, that was actually before my time with Slugfest Games. Because that's a Cliffbone, Jeff Batone, at least two other people who I can't name off the top of my head right now kind of question. However, I do know that a lot of the Red Dragon Inn stuff was based on their D&D game that they were quite fond of. Because this question certainly gets asked a lot. Another question that gets asked a lot is if this, our Red Dragon Inn game, is related in any way to an IRC channel called the Red Dragon Inn, which it is not. There we go. D-Mystics would imagine drinking, fighting, and gambling inspired it. I mean, they were probably doing at least some drinking. I used to live very close to where Cliff Bone lives now, and he would have a once a month sort of board game party thing, and there was always something to drink. Because Cliff's a very good host. I'll probably hit Deirdre's cup here with something else later. Although the filigree details on the sculpt certainly help it look different from, say, Gerkie's mug. Oh, this fiddly bit. One thing about this Vallejo air metal color stuff is that it just flows right off the paintbrush like you're using a marker. Most metallic colors for miniature paints are, if you've experienced it, they're very thick, so they don't quite want to come off the brush too easily. Which can be nice if you're trying to do something like edge highlighting, but can make them difficult to work with otherwise. And with this metallic, I've got to make sure that I'm not letting it just run willy-nilly and fill in cracks. Verb asks, do you enjoy playing RDI on your free timing, or does the playtesting and work burn you out? I mean, as I said earlier in the stream, I'm not much of a board gamer, actually. Like, I don't have a native local board game group that I play with on the reg. I do own some board games that are not Red Dragon Inn, because I don't dislike board games, but, you know, it's not a big lifestyle thing for me. I don't get a lot of opportunities to break them out and play them, which is, you know, kind of sad, because sometimes I might like to play Cinder from our good friends at Smirk and Dagger, but I don't have nobody to play with. Yeah, I have to stick to tabletop sim groups. Yeah, and if I'm doing something on the computer, like, to me, my computer is a device that brings me emails and Tumblr and other things, and is not a source of gameplay. And I don't know if there's a good way to get my brain out of that, but that's just what my brain thinks. So no, I don't play a lot of Red Dragon Inn when I'm not playtesting or otherwise doing some kind of work engagement. This does not mean that I don't like the game. I really do. It is a good, fun game with a lot of flavor and characters. All of those things that you like about the Red Dragon Inn, I've noticed too. And, you know, when we're playtesting not Red Dragon Inn games, if I think they're good, I think they're good. And I say that. And if I don't think they're good, I let them have it. We tend to only make games that we think are good. Don't know why. What's the logic in that? Oh. Is that in there? I don't know, maybe the camera can see how well I've gotten Pookie's mug, and I can't. we did TTS and Lockdown, but I just gotta have the game in my hands. I like the tactility of physical gaming a lot more, too. I like tactility even in a tabletop role-playing game. That was a big feature of my D&D game. We all had, like, minis or standees. I made paper craft terrain for stuff so that our characters were, you know, running around all of these crumbled ruins and big buildings. I want to have something to touch and move around when I'm interacting with a game. Time for a little pot like this, and let's hit that Pookie. Actually, you know, thinking better of that, dropping the paint bottle, at least it's closed. Let's do those cobblestones, like Ferb asked. Where's my... Oh, here it is. Here's my little paintbrush protector to keep my bristles safe. Boink. Yeah, at least it's closed this time. You know what, though? I have a second at least. At least it's in a dropper bottle and not a paint pot. A paint pot, to me, is just a disaster in a bottle, just waiting to happen. Just waiting to get spat out. All over your work surface, or your clothes, or your models that you're painting. I just always convert anything that I get that's not in dropper bottles to dropper bottles as soon as I can. If it's feasible, of course. Oh, all right, well. I accidentally got a pretty big squirt of skeleton horde in here. That's is more than I wanted to work with, but it's fine. It's still good. We're gonna drop in some technical contrast medium. So my secret for painting cobblestone-y like bases and so on is to use very thinned out. Come on, you. Is very thinned out contrast paint. Okay, the medium doesn't want to come out of this bottle for right now. That's fine, we can switch to Jay Sonja's Magic Mix, I think it's called. Boom. Glaze Medium and Extender. There we go, something to just make the paint even more transparent. And you know what, this brush is too small. Let's bring the number 2 in here. That's another. There we go. I'm just getting this stuff all mixed up. Oh, that's so much. Oh, my frugal painter's heart is crying out. That's probably pretty good. It's probably better if this base tends a bit more towards warm colors. And just slop it on everywhere. This is satisfying. I love working a big surface that I don't have to care too much about. Jeff and Ferb are chatting on chat about prize variant use. And they use a house rule where the prize is random, and you don't know what prize is in the pot until you've won it. That's a little sweaty. I definitely think that for a certain player, it makes gambling much less attractive. However, I know that a lot of players kind of don't want to make the choice of prize. Yeah, it's so fun to win a gamble with 46 gold just to get a portal gun. Oof. Oof. Big oof energy right there. Just story of our lives. Everyone in TTS, over all 6 to 8 table hosts do this. Yeah. It's made a lot easier to do by the format, too. It doesn't break the game. Or if it does break the game, it doesn't break the game in an unfun way. So there we go. Here's the base with its first coat of paint. Sort of a very, very diluted skeleton horde. Sort of a bone color. And that's going to sort of set a basic tone. And then I'm going to go over this probably with a diluted Space Wolf Gray or something else. When I'm working bases with contrast paints and I want it to look interesting without putting a lot of effort in, I'll switch from a warm color to a cool color. Yep. My daughter's Stormcast came pre-primed in gold. I get it because the mini is gold, but it made painting the base so annoying. Yeah, I would... If somebody gave me a mini like that, I mean, I'd strip it and prime it all over again. But if I couldn't do that, I would use some brush-on white primer on the base. And then I would paint from that. Because otherwise I would not be having a good time. But I can't do anything else with this base today until this dries, and that's probably going to be like 10-20 minutes. So I think that we've made excellent progress today, and that I should probably jump away and get to having dinner with my family. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much, everyone, for keeping me company while I painted some models, or in fact, a model with multiple foci. I hope that this helps you get some inspiration to do some of your own painting. If you want your own Bob Rossian message for this, then just get out there. I mean, even this isn't, for my money, this isn't even halfway finished, but I'm already really enjoying it. I'm having a good time. Prime something, sketch some colors onto it, see if they make you happy. There you go. There's your Bob Ross moment. Remember to paint to make yourself happy and to have a good time. And now, have a good night. Hopefully we'll see you again next week. I see, there's the button. Bye, everybody.